You weren't meant to blend in. You were never built for mediocrity, never designed to move in silence like the rest. The moment you stepped into your power, the moment you chose to embrace who you truly are, the world shifted. Some people don't like that. They fear what they can't control, envy what they can't become. And that's why they're watching. That's why they're plotting. But here's what they don't understand. You are not just anybody. You are the anomaly. You are the exception. You are the chosen one. They think they've figured you out, convinced themselves that they hold the advantage. They whisper in dark corners, exchanging secrets, mapping out a plan they believe will work. They see only what they want to see. Your quiet moments, your strategic patience, mistaking it for vulnerability. But they have no idea what's coming. They don't realize that every step they take is playing into a narrative already written. And you're not worried. You've seen this before. Let them think they've won. Let them believe they hold the upper hand. The greatest mistake they'll ever make is underestimating you. And when the moment comes, when the weight of their own deception comes crashing down, they'll wish they never made this choice. Are you ready? Because it's time to remind them why you're the one they should have never challenged. A presence like no other, existing outside their reach, untouched by the chaos they orchestrate. A moment of stillness defines you, an unshaken force, a silent storm waiting to be unleashed. You are beyond time, beyond fate, beyond the grasp of mere mortals who dare plot your downfall. They move against you, believing themselves to be architects of your end, unaware that they are merely rearranging pieces on a board that has already been won. Their schemes are dust in the wind, their efforts nothing more than echoes of a battle they lost before it even began. And as they step forward, convinced of their power, the only truth that remains is this: you are untouchable. You are inevitable. They descend upon you like a tidal wave, an eruption of force and precision, their every movement calculated, rehearsed, and sharpened to a lethal edge. Darkness shrouds their faces, their hands steady on weapons forged with a singular purpose: to end you. They expect fear, expect hesitation, expect the weight of their presence to crush you beneath the enormity of their numbers. But the air remains still, unshaken. You exhale, slow and deliberate, as if their attack is nothing more than a passing breeze, not even worth the effort of resistance. Their commands break against you like waves against stone, loud, forceful, and ultimately powerless. You meet their stares with an unreadable expression, not in defiance, not in arrogance, but in amusement. They believe they hold the advantage, that the battle has already been decided. What they fail to understand is that the moment they stood before you, they had already lost. You are not here by accident. If you feel the pull, the knowing deep inside that you are chosen, this is your moment. Click the super thank you button and give $50 or more to unlock deeper insights, exclusive content, and a path that aligns with your divine purpose. This isn't just a contribution, it's a declaration, a step toward who you were meant to be. Answer the call, walk with us, and step fully into your destiny. Your journey begins now. Their plans were drawn in fragile ink, their every move dictated by the illusion that they were the ones writing this story. They whispered in shadows, convinced that their schemes wove an inescapable snare, that their control over the pieces would secure their victory. But no deception, no matter how intricate, can stand against the force of reality. Their power was never their own. It was borrowed, a flickering ember, stolen from a flame they could never truly wield. And now, as the truth unfurls before them, The foundations of their carefully crafted illusion crumble to dust. They are not the architects of destiny. They are not the hands shaping fate. They are merely pieces on a board they never controlled, facing the inevitable reckoning of forces far beyond their comprehension. The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Psalm 118:22. They thought they could build without you, thought they could lay a foundation, stack their bricks, raise their walls, and leave you out of the design, convinced that you were nothing more than an obstacle, an inconvenience, a problem to be removed. The very thing they dismissed, the piece they tried to cast aside, was the thing that held it all together. And now the cracks are forming, spreading like vines through the walls they built so high. They tried to remove you, but in doing so, they removed their own stability. What they believed to be firm beneath their feet was nothing but shifting sand. And when the storm came, when the weight of their deception pressed down, it all came crashing down. The illusion is unraveling before their eyes, the veil lifting in real time. Every decision, every move they thought they made on their own was never truly theirs to begin with. They were guided, manipulated, led down a path they swore was theirs to control. But now the truth stands before them, undeniable, immovable, and they cannot unsee it. The authority they once flaunted is slipping like water through their fingers. The confidence they wore like armor is now paper thin. Because the moment they tried to break you, the moment they believed they had found your weakness, they unknowingly signed their own defeat. They mistook patience for passivity. They mistook your stillness for weakness. They thought they had found a door they could force open, a lock they could pick, a fortress they could bring down with enough force. But there was never a way in. There was no access, because what is divinely protected cannot be breached. And now they stand at the threshold of their own undoing, staring into the vastness of something they cannot explain, cannot bend to their will, cannot control. They thought they were dealing with a person. They were dealing with a force that does not bow. The realization comes too late. The miscalculation is irreversible. They did not corner prey. They awakened something greater than themselves. And now, all that's left is the weight of what they have done, the crushing recognition that this was never a fight they could win. What was meant to be swift and decisive has turned into a relentless, grinding defeat. Their certainties unravel, their so-called advantage slipping like sand through their fingers. They did not just seek to wound the body, they aimed for the core, the will, the unwavering conviction that defines you. But every attempt exposes a cruel reality. They are the ones who are vulnerable. Their weapons turn useless, their words lose weight, their plots come undone as they stare into the face of something unshaken, unbroken, unstoppable. They came to dismantle your power, to rewrite your destiny in their favor. Instead, they are left standing in the wreckage of their own arrogance, drowning in the echoes of their miscalculations. The game they thought they were playing has no victory for them, only reckoning. In the depths, where shadows whisper and unseen forces stir, something watches. What began as amusement shifts to unease. The architect of this grand illusion, once so certain of his success, now studies the battlefield with growing dread. The pieces are not falling into place as expected. The tide is not turning in his favor. The desperation in his followers is unmistakable. The panic infecting their movements, spreading like a sickness. His fingers tighten, his jaw sets, realization creeping in with icy finality. He misjudged something. something crucial, a single, overlooked truth that upends everything. And as his confidence erodes, his gaze meets yours, his certainty fracturing beneath the weight of the mistake he can no longer deny. Your smile is slow, deliberate, the kind that doesn't just signal victory, but ensures the enemy understands the depth of their miscalculation. You left out the most important part, didn't you? The words land like a final seal on an already doomed fate. The last remnants of their confidence shatter. They falter. They hesitate. The unraveling is complete. There is no retreat, no regrouping. They had their moment, their illusion of control. Now, it's over. You do not strike with desperation or fury. You move with the inevitability of a force that cannot be resisted, an executioner of their own making. There is no hesitation in your steps, no wasted effort in your actions. This is not a battle, this is a lesson, and they are learning. Too late, too fast, and with no way to escape the truth bearing down on them. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. Isaiah 54:17. Like a seed planted in the dark, buried beneath the weight of doubt, they thought they had snuffed out your light. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't know, is that some things don't wither in the shadows. Some things take root, some things grow. And now, as their plans unravel, as their confidence slips through their fingers like sand in a storm, they come face to face with the truth they spent so long denying. You were never theirs to break. They thought they were moving in silence, that their schemes were hidden, but the Spirit always reveals. Nothing done in darkness stays there forever. The foundation they built against you was never solid, just brittle lies stacked on sinking sand. And now, as the weight of their own deception bears down on them, they feel it, that slow, creeping realization. That moment when the storm they sent out circles back, no longer under their control. Somewhere in the distance, he moves, trying to slip away unnoticed. The same one who whispered, who plotted, who sat at the head of the table when they spoke your name like it was theirs to destroy. But the hand that pushed others toward you is the same hand that now trembles, reaching for an escape that does not exist. Because judgment has no hiding place. He moves like a man who knows he's running out of road, like a shadow that flees when the sun rises. He quickens his pace, breath short, thoughts scrambling for an exit that is no longer there. And then he stops, because before him stands a force he never accounted for, never prepared for, never imagined he'd have to face. You. There is no anger in your expression, no malice, just an unshaken certainty, the weight of something far greater than mere revenge. You are not here to destroy. You are here to witness, because destruction was never yours to deliver. It was something they set in motion long before they ever crossed you. Leaving so soon. The words fall into the space between you, quiet but final. They do not ask. They declare. His throat tightens, his shoulders stiffen, because he knows. He knows. The running stops here. The debt has come due. The reckoning is no longer a distant threat, but a reality that stands before him, immovable, because the battle was never yours. It was always in divine hands. And what belongs to God cannot be stolen, cannot be stopped, and cannot be undone. His words are hurried, laced with desperation, a frantic attempt to untangle himself from the disaster he orchestrated. Excuses, bargains, empty reassurances spill from his lips, each more worthless than the last. He scrambles to rewrite the narrative, to twist the ending in his favor. But it's meaningless. You stand unmoved, your patience thinning as his attempts dissolve into futility. There is no negotiation here, no alternate path to take. A single shift in your stance, a flicker in your gaze, a slow tilt of your head is all it takes for understanding to crash into him like an unforgiving tide, a realization too heavy to bear. He thought he had a chance. He was wrong. Next time, you murmur, each syllable a quiet promise. Try harder. The weight of those words alone is enough to break him. When you turn away, he remains frozen, drained of arrogance, stripped of control, a monument to his own humiliation. There are those who weave deception with precision, constructing grand illusions that ensnare the weak-willed, not through force, but through whispers. The mind is the battlefield, and he is a master of bending it to his will. He cannot reach directly, cannot strike with his own hand, so he manipulates the ones who can. The restless, the envious, the ones already standing on the edge, waiting for a push. They were easy prey, vessels shaped by insecurity and fed by blind ambition. His influence was not forced upon them, it was invited. They mistook his whispers for wisdom, his distortions for truth. The signs were there, the subtle warnings, the fleeting moments of hesitation, the gut-wrenching doubt that should have pulled them back. But pride deafened them to reason. Greed blinded them to consequence. And so, they walked willingly into a battle they were never equipped to win, convinced they were the ones in control. They were not. They never were. No matter how relentless their efforts, no matter how much energy they poured into their destruction, they overlooked one undeniable fact. There was never a justifiable reason for their attack. You remained steadfast in your journey, focused on what was meant for you, never once inviting the chaos that now engulfs them. Choice is a double-edged blade, offering both freedom and consequence, allowing each soul to determine their own path. No force was needed to steer them toward ruin. Temptation merely opened a door, and they walked through willingly. Their downfall was not the result of some trick or deception, but the inevitable exposure of the truth that had always lived within them. The darkness they embraced did not enter them from the outside. It was already there, waiting for an opportunity to emerge. And so, they made their decision, not out of ignorance, but because deep down, they had long since surrendered to the very forces they believed they could control. Warnings are never absent, but arrogance ensures they are ignored. There were moments, brief yet unmistakable, where the universe itself urged them to reconsider, to pull back before it was too late. A gut feeling, an inexplicable hesitation, a voice in the back of their mind whispering that the path they were on would lead to nothing but ruin. Yet blinded by the weight of their own pride, they silenced every signal meant to save them. They did not need to be forced. They chose their own destruction, convinced that they could manipulate fate in their favor. But alignment is not something that can be bargained with. Those who immerse themselves in deception will always find themselves surrounded by it. Their downfall was sealed not by chance, but by the energies they chose to align with, energies that demanded payment in full. When they launched their attack, they were already compromised, too entangled in their own bitterness to realize they were the ones being played. They stepped forward with certainty, blind to the fact that they were walking into their own undoing. The hand they thought they were playing was never theirs to control. They were merely following a script written by forces far beyond their understanding. They mistook fleeting power for invincibility, never once questioning why it came so easily, why the price seemed non-existent. And now, as the weight of consequence bears down on them, they see their error with devastating clarity. Every falsehood, every action born of envy, every calculated move meant to dismantle what they could never possess has returned to them in full force. They imagine themselves untouchable, immune to the very laws they so recklessly defied. But the universe does not operate on illusion. It mirrors back exactly what was put into it. And now, standing amidst the wreckage of their own choices, they are left with nothing but the realization that the seeds they once sowed have finally come to harvest. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Galatians 6:7. You don't plant weeds and expect a harvest of wheat. You don't sow seeds of destruction and expect peace to grow in return. The ground doesn't lie. It only gives back what was put into it. And now, as they look around, as the weight of their choices bears down on them, they see it. The harvest has come. They thought they could manipulate the soil, water the fields with deception, and somehow reap abundance. They thought they could move in secret, crafting plans in the dark, thinking no one would notice. But the thing about seeds, they don't stay buried forever. What was done in the shadows has reached the surface, and now they stand knee-deep in the wreckage of their own doing. This was never about if their choices would catch up to them. It was only ever about when. And that time is now. The same arrogance that once filled their chests now drains from their faces, leaving only emptiness behind. The same fire that once fueled their ambition has burned out, leaving them grasping at the embers of something that was never truly in their control. Their confidence was never real. It was borrowed, propped up by lies, and now that the truth has arrived, it crumbles like dust in the wind. They believed they had power, that they had control over the narrative, that they could twist fate in their favor. But the universe does not negotiate with deception. Every move they made, every lie they spoke, every step they took against you has only led them closer to the very thing they swore would never come, the reckoning. And there you stand, untouched, unshaken. The fire they meant for you never even reached your doorstep. They called the storm, but it never touched your house. They dug the pit, but they are the ones who fell in. The law that governs the universe is not biased, not delayed, not swayed by pretty words or false promises. It simply is. They thought they could manipulate fate, that their misdeeds would dissolve into nothingness. They whispered your name like it was theirs to ruin, never once realizing that what is chosen cannot be undone. Every step they took in deception only led them deeper into a destiny they never saw coming. Because darkness does not win. It never has. It never will. And now they see. They see the truth, but it is too late to change it. Justice is not always immediate, but it is always precise. The balance must be restored, and the signs are everywhere for those who have the eyes to see. What some dismiss as mere chance are, in reality, undeniable markers, subtle confirmations that the scales are shifting. A whisper in the wind, a moment of déjà vu, an unexpected encounter, each one a reminder that no injustice goes unanswered. The threads of fate weave in ways beyond comprehension, ensuring that those who acted in malice will face the full weight of their own choices. But justice does not exist solely to punish. It is a force of alignment, designed to teach, to correct, to reveal. The ones who stood against you will soon be met with a choice. Continue down the path of ruin, or face the truth they once ignored. Some will resist, consumed by the very pride that led them to this point. Others will crumble beneath the weight of their own guilt. Only then, realizing that the power they once believed was theirs was never truly within their grasp. For they have sown the wind, and they shall reap the whirlwind. Hosea 8:7. You can throw seeds into the earth and tell yourself they'll never grow, but the soil remembers. It holds the weight of every decision, every action, every deception planted with selfish hands, and the harvest always comes. They thought they could sow destruction and reap peace, thought they could whisper your name in the dark and never see it return to them. They moved with boldness, with arrogance, convinced that their steps would never falter, that their actions would never come full circle. But the thing about storms, they don't wait for permission, and now they stand in the middle of one they created, drenched in the consequences they never saw coming. The weight of their choices is heavy now, pressing, suffocating, undeniable. They feel it in their chest, in their mind, in the silence that follows every desperate thought, scrambling for a way out. At first, they had believed themselves untouchable, immune to the very laws they twisted for their own gain. They moved like kings and queens of their own making, believing their hands could mold the world into whatever shape they desired. But now, stripped of illusion, stripped of pretense, stripped of the lies they built their confidence on, they finally see the truth. Their fall was not brought about by some unseen enemy. No divine force reached down and tore them apart. They did this, one small compromise at a time, one deception at a time, one unchecked ambition at a time. And now they stand in the ruins of what they once built, realizing too late that they were their own downfall. This was never your battle to fight. It was never your burden to carry. Retribution is not your responsibility. Truth is, you were never meant to strike them down. You were only ever meant to stand. The same hands that tried to dismantle you now tremble under the weight of realization. The same voices that spoke against you now whisper regret. Because watching you stand, untouched, unbothered, unshaken, is the wound that will never heal. They thought their deception was strong enough. They thought their influence could shift the course of something far greater than themselves. They thought they could move against what was already written, already protected, already established. But destiny is not a door they can force open, nor is it a path they can block. And as they struggle beneath the weight of their own undoing, they are left with a burden no one else can carry for them. Regret. Regret that clings to them like a second skin. Regret that rewrites every memory with a new understanding. Regret that does not let them rest. True power is not found in retaliation. It lies in the refusal to be shaken. The storm they sent your way has done nothing but reveal the depths of your endurance, solidifying the truth that was always there. As they unravel beneath the weight of their misdeeds, you rise, not because you sought their downfall, but because it was never about them to begin with. They will search for ways to rewrite the past, but no amount of revision can erase the truth. The most brutal defeat is not a strike, but the sight of someone they tried to destroy standing taller than ever before. And while they collapse under the weight of their choices, you continue forward, untouched by their desperation. Your purpose is not dependent on their approval, nor can it be diminished by their attempts to undermine it. The energy they invested in destruction has only illuminated your resilience. They thought they could bend your path, but instead, they have only strengthened it. Every attempt to break you has instead refined your clarity, sharpening your focus in a way nothing else could. What was meant to hinder you has only propelled you forward. This is not about forgetting, Nor is it about dwelling in what has already been resolved. It is about using every hardship as a foundation for greater things. The remnants of their betrayal no longer weigh on you. You have left them behind, stepping into a space where their presence no longer holds power. Their whispers, their judgments, their distortions of the truth, all of it fades into irrelevance. You no longer carry the weight of their influence. You move forward with certainty, unbothered, unwavering, unstoppable. Every trial was a lesson, every challenge a tool that forged your resilience. They wanted to shake your foundation, but all they did was prove how unbreakable it truly is. You were never at risk of being lost in their schemes. You were always destined to rise beyond them. And now, as you step fully into your purpose, nothing they do, past, present, or future, can alter what was always meant to be. Their regret will linger, but it will never be your burden to bear. What is meant for you remains untouched, unmoved, and beyond the reach of those who once tried to take it. The journey continues, and you walk forward without hesitation, knowing that no force, seen or unseen, has the power to alter what was divinely set in motion.